Well, looky here what I came home to. Wasn't supposed to arrive until Wednesday. And in the open box, whoops, finger in front of the camera, much better packaging than I got with the Firefly that had only two pieces of foam like this on either side that were not even the sponge foam. It was the stuff that breaks apart. One piece down there that was dislodged, and one little cup underneath the neck. None of this stuff at all. And this is the soft spongy stuff. This is the good stuff. And a piece in the cover. Alright. It's not the most expensive packaging, but it's adequate and does the job very well. There we go, out of the bag. It's pretty spiffy looking. Pretty spiffy looking. We're gonna give it the once over in a little while. I have some work to do. Neck, even though it's not maple like I normally like, matches the color of the body very nicely. Yeah, that has to go. I'm sure there'll be a number of things I'll want to do to this guitar. Take a peek in there. And the back. Looks pretty nice. We'll get into it a little bit more later. I have some work I need to do. Even the bag they put this thing in is better than pretty much every other guitar I've ever gotten that has sort of the styrofoam that you got to break apart to get it out. This came out really nicely. Well, from the box onto the work table as usual to do a checkup to see where the differences are in the spec that I like versus how it came. Cleanliness, finish, and a few other things I want to look at before I do anything near an amplifier. I'm not one of those guys that are interested to know whether you can play it out of the box. What I'm interested in knowing is, can I make it playable the way I like it to play? And with that, we're going to take a closer look. The figuring on the wood in this thing is absolutely gorgeous. No doubt about it. This figuring is really something. And it's beautifully book matched all the way up. Out of the box, I've noticed that it is one of the cleanest guitars. If I can get this camera to go where I want it to go. It is the cleanest, one of the cleanest guitars that I've had come out of a box. Look at that, isn't that something? The fretboard is not as grody as fretboards I've had in the past. There's very little dirt on the fretboard actually. There is some around the first frets up there in the crevices, but the wood surface itself, yes, it's very dry as this kind of wood usually is. It's either roseacre or toba or something like that, and that's okay. I don't really care too much for that kind of fingerboard. I like maple on maple. This is what it is, and before I get a whole bunch of comments from people about Well, it's only a $130 guitar, and that's what it is in the States. I got it for $165 the day they put them on Amazon here. Then they shot up to $175. Last time they were on a couple of months ago, before they had the real veneer, which is what they're saying these things are. And presumably they either are, or they've got a whole bunch of new stickers that they put underneath the poly. I watched Jimmy Stewart demonstrate his last week or the week before when he got it, and the figuring on his front is not the same as mine. I looked back at his video again. And by the way, if you want a really good demonstration of this guitar, look up Jimmy Stewart, look up his video on this guitar, and he plays the hell out of it, better than I could ever do. I'll put a link in the description. So, just got it on the bench out of the box. I noticed that I did the setup check. It's running about 5 to 6/64 action up here. I prefer 4, 3 if I can get it, anywhere between 3 and 4 for all the strings. The nut, I think, is going to be the most serious issue on the guitar. It is very sharp, like an unfinished nut. It's very sharp, like it was just cut with a buzzsaw. The low E string is too deep. It's too close to the first fret. It may or may not buzz. I might have to bring that up, or I'm just going to have to replace the whole nut. Because it's cut so deep, it's very close to the edge. There's not much meat left down here, and that could be a possibility of a break off here. The other ones are all a bit too high, even though, if I can get that just right, you can see how deep the strings are in the nut. Like I said, it's a completely unfinished nut. Now that was the biggest beef I think I could find with this guitar. Overall, the fit and finish of the body and the back is really spectacular. I mean, it needs a bit of a polish. The neck is unfinished and smooth. The front is a poly up on the headstock. Of course, that butterfly thing has to go. I'm interested to get inside to see whether these are 2-wire or 4-wire pickups. If they're 4, I'm going to measure them and see if it's worth putting in push-pulls so I can split these independently. And I noticed that the bridge rocks back and forth quite a bit more than the neck. Inside the F-hole, it seems to be all empty up to about here in this part of this piece of wood. It's a 3-piece that you can tell from the back, and it looks like they've routed out this end of it, and the rest of the guitar all seems hollow on this piece that's up here. Anywho, and I think I'm going to have to make a tiny little adjustment on the truss rod because I measured it and it's slightly over 11 thou. I like it to be about 11, and that's the way it goes for me. So I will first do the check on the truss rod adjustment. The bridge, they call it a hardtail bridge. The bridge came set pretty good. You can see that all the saddles are set pretty much right at the top of height, right like that, and all the set screws are flush with the top. They're going to have to go down a little bit because I'm going to have to lower that for action, but doesn't look like it's going to be serious. So yes, I picked that up here a week ago when they came back on Amazon for $165 Canadian plus our ridiculous 13% tax up here. I did not tune it to pitch at the moment, which I really should do first. And by the way, I checked, the strings are 9s on here. That's up there. That's almost right on. Just let me give these a little bit of a stretch at the same time. They're 9s, so they're thinner. Oh yeah, they measured the low E, 43, not 42. And these are not the Dario strings. I see that in the States they say they come with the Dario strings on them, not these. And 9s. I'll put 9/5s on it when I'm done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a setup and adjustments using these throwaway strings. Okay, that's to put the right tension on it. And you put a capo on one. Get it into this kind of working position, and find the 11 again, which I usually have out with the other two, 16 and 18. So I use 18 on the first fret for the bass, 16 over the first fret for the trebles. There's my 11. At the body. Seventh fret. Yep, 11. We're going to give her a little pull and see if that's enough. It's not far off. Going to move it 1/16 of an inch. We'll let that settle for a while. So now, tuners didn't feel too bad. They felt snug. I'll find out when I get the strings off how wobbly they are. Other people are saying that they're holding tune well enough. I'll see when I put strings back on, possibly the gear ratio, or even when I'm taking these off, how they feel for turning. Okay. Before I go after the strings, I want to get the back cover off. So what we don't want to do is slip and scratch, but they seem to have done a pretty good job of finishing and buffing on this body. Jimmy Stewart says that they make this in the same factory as the CST-24 Harley Benton that I got, which is a really nice guitar in Vietnam. I thought this was a Chinese-made guitar, but it's not. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. That I wasn't expecting. An attempt at shielding. That's not stuck down. Look at that. And the pickups are, they are 4-wire pickups. The work inside the cavity is not bad. So they have a pigtail here. I can show it. They have a little pigtail here that jumpers the two coils together, which means that they could possibly be split. Looks like the brown cap, which is probably a 47. No markings on it that I can see from this angle. But yes, the overall work inside the cavity is not that bad at all. Sorry for the bounciness. I just wanted to pick this up and give you a shot in there. She'll hocus pocus focus. It looks like they've painted it with shielding paint, presumably. I'm going to measure that to see if it is or if it's just paint. But it seems unlikely that it should be just paint if they went to the trouble of putting what looks like duct foil tape on the back of this plate. And there she be. Let's see if we can get some conductivity on this black, because it looks kind of thin. Yeah, there's no conductivity in this stuff. It's just black paint. It's pretend. Okie dokie. For now, I'm just going to put a screw in a hole. And we will see what it's like before I do anything in there as far as sound goes. Now, if you go and watch Jimmy's video, you'll see he makes it sound really nice. He's an excellent player, plays multiple kinds of music off the cuff. He's been playing for obviously many more years than I started to learn guitar in 2013. So, yep, I highly recommend Jimmy's video on this guitar, or the sounding demo part. So, can I make it the way I like it? So I think we've worked on the truss rod. So the next thing to do is to bring down the saddles. Alright. So I have my trusty mechanical engineering ruler set at 4/64. Of course, I'll clean up the fretboard, polish those frets. Oh yeah, fret ends. Fret ends I noticed pretty good. Pretty good. I mean, you could get away with that. There's a couple of little things down here that I don't like, but you could get away with that. And the second fret, if you run it on the inside a bit. I'm just going to have to touch that with the file a tiny little bit. But yes, somebody did do some work on the frets. It's surprisingly how they didn't finish the nut properly. It's really square. Now this came to me, I mean, in spectacular condition compared to the 335. If you've seen my videos on the 335, how I got it, and the crud and stuff that was in it, this guitar is virtually spotless compared to that one. I mean, there's a little bit of crud in the truss rod adjustment hole there, but other than that, I mean, it's really clean, and with a little bit of polish it's gonna glisten up really nice. So like I told somebody recently, even if it didn't play at all, it's a beautiful looking piece of art just to have around. Now, the other thing I want to check at this point is the pickup height. And I'm probably going to have to take this ring off when I go, not in the movie, probably going to have to take this ring off. Turn. When I get the strings off to see what's going on with the rocky part. It might be that the screws are too long. Alright, so 1/8, and that is 1/8. But you got to hold the string down. Doesn't make much of a difference. Just under 1/8 now, and that one is under 1/8. So let's get them back up a little bit. Alright, just a tad too close, and we'll see if we need them to make them closer or not once I start playing it with the kind of stuff I like to do. Alright, the other side, a 1/16. And that is right on. And that is right on. You know, somebody almost got this right. Looks like they spent some time on it. And it's almost right. It's almost right. The pickups on this thing are called Destiny CNC wound. Okie dokie. I think I'm going to see if I've got any buzzing. I've got some up here. Yeah, so something going on up here. And of course, down here, this is all off. Let me see. If, even though I don't have the board straight at this end, it doesn't make a lot of difference. Do I get any rocking? Yep. But not down there. That's why those were good. Starts just above the B string. Starts just above the B string. So I checked the intonation, and somebody did do work on this because it's on for about 3 strings and just a couple of cents off for the rest of them, and that could be because I changed the height of the saddles as well. The only really bad part about this whole guitar really is this nut. It's atrocious. I've got binding on every string in the nut, and it's causing my tuning to be off. It's binding. So overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's a keeper. So my amplifier is on a 65 deluxe reverb. The reverb is not turned on. The gain is 5, volume 10, treble is 5, it was off, 5 on the middle, and 5 on the bass. 3 on the bass, sorry. That's all there is to it. I usually don't play anything that way, but that's what it sounds like, just like that. And I can tell right now that I don't feel any need to change these humbuckers at this point. They're really good. That's on the bridge. Middle. Neck. On my CST, I can pull that and I can split both these coils, and I like the center position a lot on the CST-24T. Not bad. No tone, full volume up. The neck is straighter. I made a off-camera adjustment to the truss rod again. Very mellowy. I like the lights are on in my face. Yep, these humbuckers are really powerful, which leads me to believe I may actually be able to split these. Very powerful. I like that a lot. Just thought I'd throw that in. And Jimmy, if you're watching my video, man, I'm so sorry that, you know, my top is way prettier than yours. Sorry, bud.